Good evening. The time is 6:12 when we will be commencing our May 6, 2025 Brooklyn Borough Board meeting. Ms. Church, can you please call the roll?
Hello, we got fancy new mics now. Okay, good evening as well. We will start with the community boards. Community Board 1. Community Board 2. Community Board 3. Community Board 4. Thank you. Your name? Raul? Thank you. Community Board 5. Community Board 6. Community Board 7. Thank you. Community Board 8. Community Board 9. Community Board 10. Community Board 11. Community Board 12. Community Board 13. Community Board 14. Thank you. Community Board 15. Community Board 16. Thank you. Community Board 17. Community Board 18. Council members. Wrestler 33. Hi, Angela. 34, Gutierrez. 35, Hudson. 36, Ose. 37, Nurse. 38, Aviles. 39, Hanif. 40, Joseph. 41, Millie. Actually, oh, hi, Tamisha. 42, Banks. That's what they draw. 43, Zwang. Anna. 44, Felder. 45, Louis. Can you spell that for me, please? Last name? Thank you. 46, Narcisse. 47, Brennan. Name, please? Oh, Eisenhower. 48, Vernikov. That's our Sasha. Thank you. 50, Carr. Nancy, didn't get your last name? Thank you. Borough President's office is represented at the head table. Hi. Hi, Anu. Thank you.
We have a quorum. Moving on to item 2 on the agenda. Do we have a motion for the approval of tonight's agenda? Thank you. Motion made. Do we have a second? Okay, and give it to him. Thank you so much. Motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any discussion? Do we have any objections to the approval of the agenda? Seeing none, the agenda for tonight's meeting has been approved. We're going to move on to item 3 for the approval of the minutes. Earlier, we had Ms. Cheatham from Councilmember Banks' office note that the spelling of her first name was incorrect. So including the correct spelling of Ms. Cheatham's name, do we have a motion? Okay. Thank you so much. Is yours incorrect too? Okay. Mhm. Thank you. Okay, so we have the spelling of CB13, the spelling of CM Banks, and we have various formatting issues throughout, including periods, lack of spaces, and upside down question marks, as well as exclamation marks, including those amended changes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Okay, so I'm going to give it to Carl Caesar. Is that a second, Ms. Revels? Okay. Do we have a friendly amendment? Chairperson Caesar? Okay, so the motion has been made. Do we have a second? Okay, Chairperson Scavo has seconded. Do you have any objections? Seeing none, the approval of the minutes with the changes as discussed has been passed for the April 1st, 2025 meeting. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Church for Borough Hall updates, and then we will continue with board member updates.
Thank you. Just one quick update that the community board appointments have been finalized, finished, and notifications are out. We'll acknowledge that we had some tech issues with the mail out. So some people will receive notices twice because we're unable to figure out which notices actually made it through and which didn't. But we think on the second go around, everyone gets it. So if you hear anything, let us know. If anyone calls and says they still haven't received a notice one way or the other, or if they've gotten 2 notices, then it's just that we're trying to resolve the technical issues. And that's it.
Okay, do we have any Borough Board member updates? Going once? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to unfinished business. And we have none. Oh, go ahead. Chairperson Caesar.
Test. Thank you so much. So, folks, good evening. So 2 points. So the first one is on the Brooklyn Borough President's website. I haven't found the attendance report that we had agreed to. And so my question is threefold. So it's one, when will the report be published? And then number 2, like where on the Brooklyn Borough President's website will it be published? And then the second question I have too is I noticed that under departments, it lists community boards. And so the question that I do have is what was the thinking in terms of putting community boards within that section of the Brooklyn Borough President's website?
Okay, so for the first question, we're still working internally for that update. Essentially, the priority for Ms. Church was to get out the appointments according to the charter. So now that that has been out, we can work on actually posting the attendance records. So we have been taking attendance. We have them formatted in the way that you guys saw 2 months ago, but unfortunately, Borough Board has kind of fallen to the wayside for CB appointments. Where they will be actually on the community board's page. And so to jump to your ultimate question, to go back to your penultimate question, we have a community board department, and that is the one that chairperson, I was going to call you, Ms. Church is the director of. And so that's why there is a community board's landing page. It's because we have a community boards department. And so maybe for, I guess, clarity, we can put community board department as opposed to community boards, but I mean, that is the name of our department, and that's why it's on there as departments. And this is not the first time that this has come up where there has been some confusion. That is where the attendance will live, because under that landing page is the Borough Service Cabinet and Borough Board. And so the notices for Borough Board, the notices for Borough Service Cabinet will be there. The minutes will be there, as well as the attendance. And so that's why we have a community boards landing page. It's not necessarily for the 18 community boards, it's for our department. And that's where all the information regarding Borough Service Cabinet and Borough Board will live, because that is what Ms. Church presides over. So yes, does that answer your questions? Thank you. Okay, for the record, we are going to make note that Chairperson Baptiste is here. And we're going to ask if there are any other unfinished business. Is that Chairperson Witherspoon has also joined the meeting as well? Have I missed anyone who has joined? Okay. Chairperson Witherspoon, do you have a question? Thank you. Okay, so we're still in unfinished business. Do we have any other questions, concerns, statements? Okay. We have Mr. Rubio. Please wait for the mic for the recording.
My chairperson, Celeste Leon, has let me know that our office has been receiving different versions of the expansion onto municipal property notice with no updates from SLA. I don't know if that's something that needs to be handled at, if this is considered new business or unfinished business. But we've only been receiving updates from the attorney, not from SLA, around the dining out New York issue.
Okay. So this wouldn't be under unfinished business, but if you guys can send us an email regarding what you've been receiving, we can possibly have our Intergov folks talk and see what SLA on the state side has been sending. But as of right now, I don't have any clarity on what that is. Thank you so much.
So thank you.
But I will put this note for our minutes under, I guess, other business or new business rather than unfinished. Thank you. Do we have any other unfinished business? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our communications and reports. We have a presentation from the September 11th Victim Compensation Fund, VCF, and so we will allow them to present.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Stathi Patseas. I'm the Manager of External Affairs for the September 11th Victim Compensation Fund. And I have a very short presentation and sort of an expedited presentation for the meeting this evening. I just wanted to thank Ms. Church and the Borough President's Office for having me. And excited to share some information about this program that offers some really critical benefits to New Yorkers and to anybody who might have been impacted by 9/11. So we will cover a few topics today. Clicker. Perfect. Okay, so we'll cover a few topics today about the program. I'll talk shortly about the history of the program, some background and overview of the program, the basic steps to register and file a claim with the Victim Compensation Fund, what it takes to be eligible, and how you and all your capacities can help spread the word to your constituents. So the September 11th Victim Compensation Fund is a compensation program. We provide compensation for individuals with 9/11 related physical illnesses or injuries, or relatives of deceased individuals who have succumbed to their 9/11 related illness at the following sites in the time periods that are listed on the screen. The one most relevant to us, obviously, is the New York City exposure zone. And the dates of exposure are obviously between 9/11/2001 and May 30th of 2002. And that May 30th date commemorates the end of cleanup operations at Ground Zero. The VCF is a federally funded program through the Department of Justice's Civil Division. We have most of our team in Washington, D.C., but we have a satellite office in New York City, which is where I'm based and where the vast majority of our outreach efforts come from. So on the screen, you might not be able to read the small text, so I will describe sort of a quick timeline about the program. The original VCF, or what we call VCF-1, was established by Congress to bring financial relief to the most devastated by 9/11. It opened in late 2001 and it closed in 2004. The next iteration of that was thanks to the Zadroga Act, which was signed in January 2011, which reopened the VCF. We now refer to that as VCF2. It expanded eligibility criteria and provided limited funding until October of 2016. Once again, the VCF Zadroga Act was reauthorized in 2015, which then extended it even further to 2020, providing some additional funding. But the most important milestone, which is where we are now, was in 2019, thanks to all of the advocacy on Capitol Hill, was passed the Never Forget the Heroes, James Zadroga, Ray Pfeiffer, and Luis Alvarez Permanent Authorization Act. It was signed into law and established the VCF as what we call now a permanent program that has full unlimited funding until 2090 to pay out every eligible claim. So this is where our outreach efforts come from, is we have now a mandate to get these funds into the pockets of people who were affected by 9/11. And we don't take the mandate of permanent funding and unlimited funding lightly. So we take it very seriously. And the VCF's administrative costs are just 4% of all of our full budget. So we help those who were in an affected area exposed to toxins and have since been diagnosed with a 9/11 related condition. As most people are familiar, that is uniformed first responders, but it is not just uniformed first responders. It's open to workers and volunteers who participated in the rescue, recovery, cleanup, and debris removal efforts. That includes a number of individuals who worked for government agencies, victim service providers, journalists, media personnel, anyone who was required to work at a 9/11 site. And this includes, which is a really important group now as we continue to spread this message, anybody who lived, worked, visited the area, they were students at the time, attended daycare, who now have a condition related to their 9/11 exposure. This is so many people who thought it was safe to either stay at their homes, didn't have a choice to leave their homes, came back to work too early, and were getting exposed to these toxins. So this program covers the term that we have coined as survivors. 46% of all of our claimants now is this population of survivors. So not the folks who came to respond and help, but people who were just living, working, etc., passing through at the time. So just some quick statistics about the VCF, and I know that the numbers might be small on the screen, so I'll just give you a sense of the scope of the program as of April 30th. We've received almost 99,000 claims and have found over 66,000 claimants eligible for compensation. And the total award amount that we've given to claimants is over $15.5 billion. This is since 2011. So where are these claims coming from? This is not just a New York City issue. Obviously, we know that Ground Zero, the World Trade Center site, was a global site. New York City is such a hub for tourism. We have claims and claimants from across the country and from many other countries as well. So this really shows the impact of what we've been trying to do. Just to give you a little bit of the technical details about the program, the first step when getting involved with the VCF is to register for the program. The second step is to get certified by the World Trade Center Health Program. I'm not sure how many folks in this room are familiar with the difference between our program, the Victim Compensation Fund, which provides compensation, and the World Trade Center Health Program, which is run out of the CDC, which provides the health care. We're two separate programs, and registration for one does not mean registration with the other, but we require the health certification from the World Trade Center Health Program to receive compensation from the VCF. And the final step is to file your claim by October 1st, 2090. So the map you'll see here on the screen is the New York City exposure zone that I was referring to. You'll see that the map is essentially the entirety of Lower Manhattan below Canal Street. This was the map that was established by Congress when the law was written. And what this means is essentially you have to prove your presence, that you were in this zone at that certain time period between 9/11/2001 and May 30th of 2002 to be eligible for compensation. This is a little bit different from the New York City disaster area, which does include a small part of Brooklyn for the World Trade Center Health Program, which is the map that would say you're eligible potentially to receive health care from the World Trade Center Health Program. Part of what we do is we work with employers, unions, and other organizations to share information so that our claimants don't have to look back in their records always and find documentation showing that they were here through their work records or through their union records. We try to set up relationships with employers so that we can exchange that information and ease the burden of proof on the claimants. We just launched this new aspect of our website called the Interactive Presence Guide, where if you think you might be eligible and you think you want to register for the program, you can now go to our website at www.vcf.gov, and in just a few minutes, you can identify the specific documents that you might need to be able to prove your presence, and then go on and file your claim. Since we launched it, we've had over 7,000 hits on the site, and it really is a great first step for anybody registering for the program and trying to go on and prove their presence. So the CDC estimates that over 400,000 individuals might have been impacted in the New York City exposure zone. I mentioned that we've received over 99,000 claims, so it just shows you how much further we have to go in spreading this word, which is why why I'm here, why we're doing so many different strategies and avenues of outreach, because we just know that so many people passed through Lower Manhattan at the time, might have been working there, might have lived there at the time, and could be impacted now or in the future by these toxins and by these illnesses. So we really just want to tell anybody, become a VCF ambassador. All you have to do is spread this message and this word to your friends, family members, community members, constituents. It's so easy to go on our website, vcf.gov, and register. We have digital outreach materials, social media graphics, newsletter language. We have printed materials. I'd be happy to talk to anybody individually after this meeting and bring printed materials by your community board or by your office. We're really hoping to build this network of validators and of individuals who can help spread this word. So just to wrap up, as I mentioned, you can really help us. You can share these outreach materials. You can encourage any potential claimants to register at vcf.gov or call our helpline. We have information on our website in 4 different languages. The resources are there to support anybody who's eligible for the program. I'll leave the slide up here as I close, just for your awareness, and I'm happy to answer any questions if there's still time, or also I'm happy to provide my contact information and we can talk offline. But just to note, I can't answer any questions about specific claims, obviously. But yeah, happy to answer any general inquiries about the program.
So we have Chair Pena, and
Thank
then we have Ms. Thompson.
Thank you for the presentation. My question is, how would one go prove they were in the area on September 11th? So for example, if I was a college student at BMCC
Yep.
and I developed cancer 10 years later, how would I prove that I was there on that day?
It really depends on what kind of documents you have access to. If you have any record, like a transcript or a record of the dates that you were enrolled at BMCC, or maybe even a record of your classes for that semester or whatever it might have been, there is so many different types of documentation that you can use to substantiate your presence. And there's also an appeals process. So for some reason, if you file your claim and our claim reviewers deem you not to have had sufficient documentation, you can file an appeal and you can actually have a non-adversarial appeal hearing with our team in our New York office and provide, your story. You can call in witnesses to substantiate your story. And there are so many avenues to really, we really want to make sure that the folks that are eligible are getting this compensation. So, yep, thank you.
Ms. Thompson? Yeah, he's bringing it.
Great presentation, and thank you for coming out. So, there has been like a couple conversations in our office and also just personal conversations when we just communicate with people. That a lot of people feel like that when they have reached out to victim services, I believe, that they haven't gotten like any kind of response, even if they have provided proof. They just was like that. They haven't gotten any type. So it's like, what is the screening to make sure that everyone is getting some financial assistance? Sorry.
Ms. Roden?
Hi, you had mentioned that families of victims, so now if an officer, retired officer who died of 9/11 related cancer, does his spouse have any options to get some
Yeah.
help?
Yeah, absolutely. Personal representative of a deceased victim absolutely can file a claim on their behalf. Yes, call the helpline. Yeah, definitely call the helpline and talk to them about, have her talk to them about her unique situation, and they'll give her the right direction. Sure. And just another point, you do not need an attorney. I know that like the vast majority of advertisements you see, or even, they have websites that are similar to vcf.gov. They'll have victims, 911victims.com. You don't have to use an attorney. You can go through the process without an attorney and do it by yourself. Yep.
So we have our member from CB5. If you can just remind me of your last name when you get the mic. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Muhammad.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I came in late, but I worked in financial printing. I was at 225 Varick, which is a little bit north of the prescribed site, but we had a whole ear purification system. We could see all the black soot that was in it and different things, but always was an issue with it being a little north of that,
Yeah.
that borderline. That's a concern of mine because I had to come into work the day I was on the roof looking at it when it came down, came back the next day under the demands of the job that I had. So how do we actually deal with that issue? Because there are different psychological things that have gone on with people I work with because we're on the roof watching. I saw the tower when it came down, saw the people jumping.
Yep.
So how do you handle that type of claim? And when it's a little bit north and the respiratory and the different other issues that came up after that day?
Sure, that's a great question. So if you were working north of Canal Street, which is north of the VCF exposure zone, technically you wouldn't be eligible for our program, but all you would have to do is prove that for some period of time you were south of Canal Street during, if you can find documentation of, I was required to walk along this route, or I was, every single day I got out at Fulton Street and walked, whatever it was. You'd have to be able to prove that you were south of Canal Street for the compensation. I will say, though, the World Trade Center Health Program's zone is south of Houston Street. So if you were between Canal and Houston Street, you would be eligible potentially for the World Trade Center Health Program. And they do provide mental health care as well. We do not compensate for mental health care as by stated in the law, just by physical injuries or conditions. So I would encourage you to maybe reach out to the World Trade Center Health Program.
Do we have any other questions? Okay. Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you for the presentation. I know Brooklyn was mentioned in the slideshow. Is that part of this program, or is that part of a different program?
Similar to the question about north of Canal Street, Brooklyn is not included in the compensation program, but there is a small portion of Brooklyn. There's a map on the World Trade Center Health Program's website that'll show you the part of Brooklyn that would be included in potentially receiving healthcare coverage, medical coverage from that program.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much for your presentation
Thank you.
and thank you for coming out.
Thanks.
I want to note that Chairperson Lohman is here, has joined the meeting for the record. And we will move on to other business. We have the expiration of the open meetings law hybrid provision. Do we have any concerns, questions, statements regarding that? Chairperson Pena and then Chairperson Baptiste.
The open meetings law, does that expire 2025 or is it 2026?
So the last year's budget moved it to 26. We don't know whether this year's budget or next year's budget would contemplate a further extension, prior to the expiration.
Thank you.
We have Chairperson Baptiste. Okay. Do we have any other questions, concerns? Okay, do we have any discussion about what the Borough Board wants to do regarding possible video conferencing procedures? Do we have any conversation about what Borough Board would like to do regarding possible video conferencing procedures? I'm sorry. First Chairperson Scavo, and then we'll go. You have to stay for the mic. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Thank you. My point is, how many nights? It's so difficult to get a quorum if the weather is really bad. I think it should be choice due to weather conditions, due to any unforeseen conditions, that we should be able to say, tonight has to be virtual. There was a problem with traffic. There was a problem with the weather. There's a blizzard on its way.
Thank you. And please remind me of your name when you get the mic.
Hi, I'm Anya. I'm from Gutierrez's office. Just
Thank
a point of clarification on the last question. So it's not in the upcoming budget? Like there is no funding for it starting in June?
So right now, no, because the extension was last year and it's still live. So we haven't heard anything about video conferencing within this budget because the last budget extended beyond this year. And so it's not set to expire yet.
Got it. And what's the exact expiration date?
Yeah, I believe it's July 1st, 20. Let me actually not speak before I know. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm hearing a lot of talking without the mic. Give me 1 second because we can't catch it on the recording. So the question posed is when it's set to expire. Give me 1 second. I thought it was. July 1st, 2026. Okay. Chairperson Buserith and then Chairperson Baptiste. My pronunciation today is off.
My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that open meetings are allowed under the specific instances outlined in the law, which don't include weather. If that is the case, then I think that the work of our board would be to have a resolution advocating for changing the conditions for which open meetings can happen to go along with an extension.
Is that a question or
So
just a
that's, the
statement?
first part is a question, but
Okay.
then the second part is a statement.
Correct. Okay, so I just want to clarify. So within the video conferencing law, it doesn't prescribe what the extraordinary circumstances are. Some of the enumerated ones do not include weather, but it doesn't say what specifically needs to be there or what needs to be out. It's pendant on the public body's resolution. So if the public body creates a resolution, it's up to the public body, based on consensus, to enumerate what the extraordinary circumstances are. Based on those extraordinary circumstances, it's up to the chair of that public body to monitor whether there will be a quorum at the next meeting and whether folks who are requesting video conferencing fall within those enumerated extraordinary circumstances. And so extreme weather could possibly be a condition if there's consensus, but that definition would have to be made by the board. And so that might be discussion on whether rain is considered extreme weather or whether it has to be a blizzard or a snowstorm. So that's dependent on what the public body decides. And to Chairperson Scavo's point, if we don't have quorum in the building, then we would not be able to have anyone, not just the whole board, video conferencing. It wouldn't allow for everyone to be remote. It would allow for a quorum in the building and a subset who fall within the extraordinary circumstances to be home. Any other, I'm sorry, I forgot. Chairperson Baptiste?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, for that clarification. And I think that's the most important thing that affects the Borough Board, but it also affects the community boards as well. In terms of, we've had to play this game, the game has to be played about, well, who gets to stay in, if you fake a cough or, and this is not saying that there's not legitimate reasons why people have to stay, but it forces a quorum to come, and you can never be consistent. You can't necessarily be consistent in terms of that. So rather than have to pick who bites the bullet in a particular month, it should be something where the responsibility or the decision can be pushed down in terms of whatever the local conditions are, should be dictated on the local levels. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other points of discussion? Are you pointing to? Okay, Chair Prania, thank you for that assist. And then we have Chair Loman. I'm sorry, my hair is covering you.
That's fine. I have a comment and then a request. No, I guess it's just two comments. First, I just wanted to give a little feedback of our experience with virtual participation in our board. So we passed a resolution like 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, stating what extenuating circumstances were. And as chair, when I get a request, how I approve it. I'll just say, if a person gives that they cannot attend the meeting because X, Y, and Z, I automatically approve that request. If that means that our board doesn't meet quorum that month, then that means we don't meet quorum. It is something that we have absolutely struggled with, but I think the priority is, in this post-COVID world, making it easier for people to access government and to participate in local government. Second, I remember my district manager sent me a proposed legislation to amend the open meetings law so that public bodies can participate virtually as long as the presiding officer or chairperson is at a publicly accessible location. I think that is a really great way to allow members to participate virtually, but still allowing members of the public to participate in person in a place accessible where the chairperson is. And I think that's a good median that we should be pursuing in terms of amending the open meetings law.
Thank you. Do you have any other points of discussion? Oh, Chairperson Loman, sorry.
No worries. Good evening, everyone. I just want to make a statement, like within my community board, we don't have the capacity to do virtual because we don't have the equipment. Because we have and I keep saying this young lady, Evelyn Pugh, who is in a wheelchair, who hasn't been able to come to any of our meetings for over 2 years now because the lift at 127 Pennsylvania Avenue is not working. I've been talking to the mayor's office. I know the borough president has been helping as well. The city council person is involved as well. But even if we did that, how do we get the board person, which is Ms. Pugh, Evelyn Pugh, how do we get her into the meeting? That's my comment. So if we can get some assistance with that, I would appreciate it.
Thank you. We will continue our outreach and we'll talk about that a little bit more offline, but thank you for reminding us and bringing it to the Borough Board. Do we have any other points of discussion regarding open meetings law? Okay. Chairperson Pena, I'm just going to ask if you can forward that piece of legislation. I had heard about it, but if you can forward it to us and we'll make it available for the Borough Board members, that would be appreciated. And we have a second item on the, other business. We have our Borough Board Bylaws Committee. I can hand it over to our committee chair if the committee chair wants to speak. Chairperson Baptiste.
Thank you very much. Be very brief. So we did not meet for this month, but we will be scheduling a committee meeting so we can confirm suggestions for revisions to the bylaws. I would ask anyone who has recommendations to please forward them. Can I direct them to forward them to the borough?
Yes.
To the director of community boards. We'll forward it to the committee so that way we can review and compile them and hopefully come up with recommendations for next month.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn? The second. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Next one, there's a voting item.
A reminder that we have a voting item for next month. Not to say that you guys shouldn't be here if there's no voting items, but you have asked for us to let you know, so make sure you're here.